With Mayor de Blasio's entrance today, there are now 23 Democrats vying for their party's presidential nomination. Among the first to jump in was Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, whose campaign since has put a heavy emphasis on plans and proposals in plenty of policy areas. Senator Warren joins us now, and welcome back to the NewsHour.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So, Senator, you have called yourself a capitalist to the bones. And yet, I think you and Senator Bernie Sanders have been seen by many as the two most left-leaning candidates in this race. He, on the one hand, says he's very proud to be a democratic socialist. So help people watching understand what the difference is between the two of you. How do they tell you apart? Why should they vote for you over him?
So I can't speak for Bernie. Bernie will speak for himself. All I can do is tell you how I see it. And how I see it is that markets can produce enormous value if they have rules. Markets, if they're properly functioning, if they're transparent, if they're level, that's an opportunity for entrepreneurs to get started, for competition to flourish, for there to be innovation to drive prices down. That's how it works. Now, there are some areas where markets don't work at all. What public education is about. We make an investment. Much of healthcare is about that. But there are many areas where what we want to see is markets that work better. Markets that have curbs, that have rules, that create a level playing field so that everybody has a chance to build some value and some security going forward.
So when you hear folks in the business community say, and we do hear this from time to time, saying, well, I think Elizabeth Warren, based on the fact that she went after the banks after the big financial collapse a decade ago, I think she's anti-business. What do you say to that?
Boy, they just have it backwards. You know, look, I think it is pro-business to say everybody has to follow the same set of rules and that the giants don't get to come in and cheat everyone else. Because when they can do that, they not only stamp out their competition, they stamp out the people who follow the rules, they also manage to crush their own customers. And the consequence of that, we saw in 2008. Yeah, they amassed a lot of wealth, and then they blew up the economy for everyone. That's why it is that we need consistent rules, and then we need those rules consistently enforced. And that's the difference we need in our economy now. Not an economy that just works for the rich and the powerful, an economy that works for everyone.
Well, let's talk about one of those ways that that you've suggested government can get involved, paying for college.
Yes.
You have promised free public college, helping most student debt holders eliminate the debt. Now, we've looked at what some analysts are saying about this. They say, number one, it is giving bigger benefits to higher income families than families at the lower end of the spectrum, the families who need it the most, which they say raises questions about fairness and about whether it's wasting government money.
Right now, we have an economy in the 21st century that basically says you're going to need some post-high school training, whether it's technical school, two-year college, or four-year college, to get a chance to make it in America's middle class, to build some economic security. That's what you're going to need. Now, just remind yourself, a century ago, when that was true about high school, we made high school free for everybody because we said it's an investment America makes in our young people, an investment in our future. So my plan here is to say, look, on the greatest fortunes in this country, those above $50 million, on the 50 millionth and first dollar, pitch in 2 cents. And if they would pitch in 2 cents, it would produce enough revenue to provide universal child care, universal pre-K, raise the wages of all of our child care and pre-K workers, and technical two-year college and four-year college for all of our kids at public institutions, and cancel student loan debt for about 95% of the kids who've got it.
But
this is
what about the argument that it's helping the families who need it the least?
No, but it's not. The families who need it the least are the 0.1% who have the biggest fortunes in America. If they would pay just 2 cents, we could make this investment not in some of our kids, but in all of our kids. And understand this about what's fair here. Those richest 0.1%, those biggest fortunes in America, about 75,000 people or families, all in last year, they paid about 3.2% of their total wealth in taxes, all in. The 99% paid about 7.2%. They're already paying more. I just want to see a little more level playing field where we make an investment in our kids going
I
forward.
want to come back to the tax on the ultra wealthy
Sure.
because we've looked at that as well. Analysts have said this is a plan that sounds good, but it could be a disincentive to invest in what they call important transformative projects that could transform society. Number two, that it would create massive and expensive investigations by the IRS. And number three, it may not be constitutional.
Oh, please. I mean, the idea that someone who has already amassed a huge fortune in this country is going to disinvest over 2 cents. I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense. This proposal says, look, it's not punitive. It says if you built one of the great fortunes in America, this is the 1/10 of 1%, more than $50 million. That 50 millionth and first dollar, you got to pitch in 2 cents, and for every dollar above that. And it says, in effect, if you built a great fortune, good for you, or inherited it, good for you. But understand, that great fortune was built in part using employees all of us help pay to educate. In part, getting your goods and services to market on roads and bridges all of us help pay for. Right now, those biggest fortunes, they're putting in less than the rest of America. Let's just level that playing field a little bit.
Question about foreign policy. The Middle East, we're waiting to see a more comprehensive plan from the Trump administration. But in the meantime, would you have, as President Trump has done, endorse this permanent annexation of the Golan Heights? The Prime Minister Netanyahu has endorsed in Israel.
I think we have to think about what our ultimate goals are and what we should be urging. Israel has a right to its security, and the Palestinians have a right to dignity and to self-determination. I believe the best way that happens, and what we have to do as allies to both, is to push in the direction of bringing them both to the negotiating table so that they make the decisions together about what happens in Israel. And
So you
I
wouldn't-
believe the best way for that to happen is for the United States to push those parties. I think there's a real problem with us interfering in this way.
So that was a mistake, you're saying?
I think it is
Permanent.
a mistake.
Last thing I want to ask is about what some voters are saying about Elizabeth Warren. There's a piece in the Current Time magazine quoting some voters saying they have reservations about supporting, I'm quoting, another brainy woman for president, still smarting, evidently they are, from Hillary Clinton in 2016. What do you say to them and to the woman? I'll tell you, I talked to a woman from Arizona yesterday. She said, I want to like Elizabeth Warren, but what she said to me was, she lectures too much. She said in her public presentation, she said, I don't get the sense she's listening to voters like me. What do you say?
Look, I get out every chance I can and talk about where I came from. I grew up in Oklahoma. All three of my older brothers joined the military. That was their ticket to the middle class. When we were growing up, our daddy had a lot of different jobs. And I was a kid with a dream. I wanted to be a public school teacher. By the time I graduated from high school, my family didn't have the money for an application to send me to college, much less to pay for 4 years of college. And I was one of those kids. I got a scholarship, yay. Then I fell in love at 19, got married and dropped out of school and thought I'd lost it all. And then I found a commuter college. It was about 45 minutes away. It cost $50 a semester. And for a price I could pay for on a part-time waitressing job, I had a chance to finish a 4-year diploma and to realize my dream. I became a public school teacher. I was a special needs teacher. And I probably would still be doing that work today. But by the time I finished my first year, I was visibly pregnant, and the principal did what principals did back in those days.
Is that
he
common?
wished me luck, showed me the door, and hired someone else for the job. I've spent my whole life on the fundamental question of opportunity, how people get a chance. I got my chance and I am so deeply grateful for it. I just want to see more and more of our kids get a chance.
Is that Elizabeth Warren coming across in this campaign?
I tell the story of my life and why I'm in this fight. I'm probably the least likely person to end up running for president. I never thought this is what I would do. I've known what I wanted to do all my life. I wanted to be a teacher, but I've also been somebody out there who's advocated on part of my students, on the part of everybody getting a chance. That's an America that we can build, and we can build it together. But it's going to take all of us to do this. The folks who have the power right now, the folks who have the money, the folks who have the lobbyists, man, they're going to make sure that they just keep tilting everything in this system to work a little better for them and a little better for them. You know, one regulation over here, one nomination over there, that just keeps money flowing to those at the top and leaves everybody else struggling. We have a chance to change that. That's what it means to be a democracy. We can do that. And that's what pulls me into this fight.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you.
Thank you. So good to be here.